Should we stop listening to Nigel Farage? Asked by LBC's Nick Ferrari about Trump's allegation last year that migrants in the US were eating cats and eating dogs, Farage made an extraordinary claim of his own.
If you can prove it, I've got my £10 ready.
Well, if you can prove it hasn't happened, that other way around.
Are you prepared now to say that that one was utterly nonsensical?
If I said to you that swans were being eaten in royal parks in this country, that carp were being taken out of ponds and eaten in this country by people who come from cultures that have a different... Would you agree it's happening here?
I've certainly read... I didn't know about swans. I've read about carp being fished,
well, there you
yes.
go. So, look, you know, neither of us can prove or disprove.
Who are taking the carp and the swans?
People who come from countries where that's quite acceptable to do.
Well, I've read headlines that it's Eastern Europeans, Romanians and people like that.
So I believe.
Is that what you've heard?
So I believe.
So it's a similar sort of story. They're eating
similar story.
They're eating our carp, they're eating our swans.
But, you know, I'm not saying that. I'm just putting it back as an argument.
Well, he kind of is saying it. London's Royal Park said there had been no reports of people killing or eating swans. Farage was also asked about another more recent claim from Donald Trump.
Nigel, when Donald Trump talks about links between paracetamol or Tylenol and autism, is he right?
I have no idea.
You think he might be right?
I have no idea. You know, we were told thalidomide was a very safe drug and it wasn't. Who knows? Nick, I don't know. You don't know. He has a particular thing about autism, I think because there's been some in his family, and he feels it very personally. I have no idea.
You wouldn't side with the medical experts who say it's dangerous nonsense?
I wouldn't. When it comes to science, I don't side with anybody.
Right. You don't.
No, I don't side with anybody. You know, because science is never settled, and we should remember that.
But in the light of that research done in Stockholm with 2.4 million children, someone in an influential position like the President of the United States, to say that taking Tylenol or paracetamol can cause autism, that's irresponsible, Nigel Farage.
That's an opinion he's got. It's not one that I necessarily share. But look, I mean, honestly, I've no idea.
Health Secretary Wes Streeting branded Mr Farage dangerous and irresponsible for failing to condemn Trump. So we've got a tweet from Wes Streeting that I can show you here, where he says... No idea, no backbone. This is the man whose health advisor claimed at Reform's conference that the COVID vaccine gave the royal family cancer. He's referring to a bloke called Azim Malhotra, who spoke and surprised everyone with that. Anti-science, anti-reason, anti-NHS. Farage is the snake oil salesman of British politics. It's time to stop buying his rubbish. It's interesting because when Trump stood for the second time and his opponent was Kamala Harris, he had this debate where she looked very much the more human of the two, smiling, laughing, teasing him. And he came out with what was seen by a lot of people as an absolutely crazy line about people eating cats and dogs. Have a look.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country.
So on the right, genuinely, she reacted as most people you would think would do, which is that sounds crazy. I think he won the election with that. I think that really resonates with people, man.
I just think it's disgusting. Really disgusting and actually dangerous. And we've seen in the past, haven't we, the politics, the rhetoric of what happens in the United States wash up on these shores. And with social media booming, with Elon Musk now in control of what used to be Twitter and now is X, you described it as crazy earlier on, there's a greater chance of that happening. And for Nigel Farage to be mimicking the sort of thing that Donald Trump said there, without the evidence, is disgraceful. And I'll tell you why it matters. Because even if at some point 10 years ago, and I haven't seen that this is even the case, a swan was killed and eaten, which obviously it shouldn't happen, that should never happen. We have millions of people in this country who have come from other countries. And what Farage risks doing, and I think he knows what he's doing because he's a clever man, what he risks doing is tarring millions of people with the brush of eating swans. That's irresponsible, and it sends a chill down my spine, the idea that this man might be our next Prime Minister. By the way, I bumped into Farage yesterday. He's always pleasant to me. We share a passion for cricket, but I don't want him to be our next Prime Minister.
I'll just say that regarding the health stuff, the paracetamol stuff, the NHS, the World Health Organization, and the UK medicines regulator, the MHRA, all say there's no evidence that taking paracetamol stroke Tylenol during pregnancy causes autism in children. Untreated pain and fever, however, can pose a risk to the unborn baby. While there are studies suggesting a possible small link between paracetamol and autism, there's no consistent and reliable group of studies that has proven that. Autism rates have risen. Researchers believe this is down to increased awareness and changes to the way it's classified. As to the whole thing about these swans, we did have a rootle around for stories here. You may have seen a clip doing the rounds claiming to show an RSPCA worker carrying or catching migrants eating swans. This is actually from a 2010 TV series called Animal Squad, and it was noted in the episode that there was insufficient evidence to prosecute the family involved. I don't know if we can see it. In 2013, let's have a look.
You see the bones in this bird? Yeah. Because it's not a chicken, I'm a bit concerned. There's a law against people taking animals off. You told them that, yeah. And it's very serious. It's very serious if that happens.
So it's a little bit unclear what's happening there. In 2013, an RSPCA inspector said educated guesswork suggested it was possible that somebody who is non-British shot 2 swans with bolts on the River Stour near Bournemouth. So Nigel Farage is working off something that happened a while ago. We can't be sure what it is. Is it irresponsible then?
I think it is, to be honest with you. I hate this whole, one incident, one event, one problem sort of policy that is generated from very small isolated incidents. And I think it's tacky. I think it's silly. And as we saw in the RSPCA video, that lady, whether she's British born or not, must have come from migrant family. So it's all of us, again, I wasn't born here, I say it all the time, I'm not going out and eating swans. So, I think it was very tacky for him to have said that. And it is buying into those people that want any reason to be anti-immigration.
Do you think it hurts reform, though, to have this stuff going on? So swans, actually, let me show you the reform doctor. This is this guy, Azim Malhotra. I mean, I think he slightly blew them away with this because they were not expecting him to talk about a link between the COVID vaccine and the King's cancer.
Well, one of Britain's most eminent oncologists, Professor Angley, said to me to share with you today that he thinks it's highly likely that the COVID vaccines have been a significant factor in the cancer of members of the royal family.
He's a cardiologist, that guy.
Well, this is the thing. When he spoke about autism and paracetamol, I think his response was absolutely fantastic. The reason for that is he's not a doctor, and we have seen...
Talking about Farage now.
Farage,
yeah.
Sorry. We have seen over decades science comes out with one part of research or, it seemed to be correct, and then they roll back on it and say further research cancels out the previous research.
Paracetamol to thalidomide.
It's disgraceful to do that. That is going to
sow
fear into the minds of some women around. That's not the point. The damage is done. What is the NHS advice? What has the Health Secretary said? For Nigel Farage, who wants to be the next Prime Minister of this country, to contribute to the sowing of doubt on this issue is truly terrifying. And the platforming of that man, justified by that doctor, justified by reform on the grounds of, where we believe in free speech. Free speech is one thing. Who you choose to platform as a party that wants to become the next party of government
think it's refreshing.
Really matters.
I think it's refreshing when a leader says, I do not have an opinion. I'm not educated in this area.
But the NHS has an opinion.
Let me finish. He also said, I do not hold the views of Donald Trump on this, but I don't know. It's refreshing to hear someone say, I don't know.
I'm not a scientist, and therefore I'm kind of going to go with scientific consensus. Maybe I'm a weak person.
But it's changed multiple times, though. We can see
it has,
science
for sure.
multiple times.
But mentioning thalidomide is the worst example where pregnant women in the 60s were told it was safe and their babies ended up severely deformed with disabilities.
I'm not a medical expert either, and that's why, like Jeremy, I try to follow the science and I follow the advice of the NHS. And as far as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, the NHS does not recommend that women stay away from paracetamol.
All right, Margaret in Merseyside, do you think that Farage has gone too far?
Oh, definitely. I think he's losing the plot, to be honest, Jeremy.
With the swans or the paracetamol or both?
With everything. Yeah. The thing with Farage is he wants to be like Donald Trump. He does. You know, he's talking about getting rid of millions of immigrants within 2 weeks, and then he backtracked on that a bit because somebody challenged him.
Yeah.
And he's just, I mean, I follow, I'm a sort of very thing about, I love politics. And
Oh, good.
You know,
good for you.
And so I've been following American politics for a couple of years.
Wow.
And you know, the people in this country do not know what exactly is going on. Because I followed all these, you know, before the election in America, I followed all the rallies and all the speeches.
No,
and
I mean, it's fascinating. Of course, the second rise of Trump is fascinating. Well, what do we missed in all this? Do you think it's just massive disinformation in the States then?
Oh, gosh. You know, the thing about the geese and the ducks and that, J.D. Vance, I saw him getting interviewed, and he said he admitted that he made it up, because he said, if you say something often enough, people believe it.
As he said that.
The truth is, a lie is halfway around the world before the truth gets its trousers on. That is the danger of what Farage is saying. He's talking with a forked tongue. He's saying, I'm not a medical expert. We know that, Nigel. So then don't risk promoting ideas coming from Trump when the NHS has its recommendations.
Sure. But in Lynn's favour, we have a record of medics getting it wrong. And the classic is where they did not tell us how dangerous sugar and refined carbohydrates were, and they told us for decades that fat makes us fat, which was not true. It was sugar all the time. And then we had smoking was given a clean bill of health because the smoking companies bought up the doctors.
You're doing what Farage did, though, aren't you?
But I'm saying you can question whether. This is where I might disagree with you. Is I think paracetamol, everyone's taking it all the time. We're going to know if there's a problem with it. But anyway, let's have Anne in Norfolk. Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
We're okay. We're just asking whether is Farage within his rights to question the scientists on medication.
On medication, I don't have a comment on that, but what I would
talking
like
about swans.
to say, I am definitely talking about swans.
Right.
I live in a part of Norfolk where it has been going on for years, and I also know that it's been going on in Cambridgeshire as well.
Do you mean migrants eating swans?
Absolutely, yes.
But has it been in your local papers or on your news, or?
How do you know?
Yes, it has. It has, and I've actually been aware in the local news of them saying that there was a big problem. People have watched them do it.
Right.
Now,
I only say because my cautionary note is we did go through a massive trawl in the office for all news items involving migrants eating swans, and we could only find one from 2013. So I'm just being a bit wary of that. You think not?
The two items are the ones that I know about.
But
I don't know any.
I don't know. Have you seen it yourself, Anne?
I haven't. I've actually lived behind a big park in Norfolk,
right,
where they bring in immigrants to work in abattoirs. And we had a big problem because they all used to congregate. There were so many of the immigrants congregating in the park, and it was a big problem.
Have you seen them taking the swans? Have you? So I understand what you're saying, but have you seen these congregating migrants taking the swans and potentially trying to eat them?
I have not, but I know that in the local paper and the local community, we have had that problem, and that goes back to 2010.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you so much. We just need to move on and hear from Vanessa about what...